Well, budgets from both sides of politics for the last several years have been exercises in kicking the can down the road. This means the real issues hurting family budgets are not fixed. This week's Chalmers budget was no different. The fastest growing area of government spending is interest payments on our gross debt, which is about to crack $1 trillion. Imagine if your household budget operated like this. Interest costs are even bigger than the NDIS, which is also out of control, another structural issue unaddressed in this budget. Labor will increase government spending across programs by $32.5 billion over the forward estimates, while piling on another $100 billion in debt. Spending is clearly out of control. The tax take is the highest in 23 years, despite the tax cuts for everyone, which the government is spruiking. Average wage earners receiving $15 a week in tax relief will hardly notice any economic sunshine. If governments were serious about easing cost of living, they would stop subsidising renewables, repay debt, lower taxes, reduce immigration and cut government spending. High immigration, high inflation and red tape preventing land release and building approvals has made housing unaffordable. The failure to act on deep-seated structural problems is driving the cost of living crisis, particularly the decarbonisation of the economy, which both sides of politics are pursuing through their foolish net zero policies. The $300 power rebate is an insult because the massive electricity price hikes that we've all experienced have been caused by government policies from both sides of politics. It's a political fix for the Albanese government because of their foolish pre-election pledge that renewables would reduce power bills by $275 per household. That's worked out really well, hasn't it? If the electricity grid had not been vandalised in the first place, energy bill relief would not have been needed. But more vandalism is in store. Transitioning the economy from affordable and reliable coal and gas to windmills and solar panels is the centrepiece of Jim Chalmers' budget through the $22 billion Future Made in Australia subsidy scheme. Now, this is a gamble on unproven electricity generation technology, which has already driven the cost of electricity well beyond the $300 in relief they are going to give us through these $75 per quarter rebates. Now, whether it is unsustainable debt or misguided energy policy, Australia is heading in the wrong economic direction. The only reason there is a brief surplus in this year's budget is of $9 billion, which of course is rocketing to $28 billion and $42 billion over the next two budgets. The only reason for this $9 billion surplus is because of a windfall in coal, gas and iron ore royalties, where the prices have been well above average. Now, these are the very industries demonised by the net zero loving political Labor, Liberal, Green, Teal quad that runs Australia. The hypocrisy is that Labor and Liberal governments wedded to net zero are keen for the coal cash as long as we don't burn it here. They want us to believe that we are saving the planet and that our electricity price paying is worth it to be seen to be virtuous. Now, the tax cuts and the cost of living relief measures total $32 billion. With households under pressure, they are likely to spend, and this risks making inflation worse with all that extra billions flowing through the economy. Time will tell, of course. Now, at a time when China and Russia are rearming, Australia's defence spending in this budget remains woefully inadequate, another structural issue left unaddressed. Sadly, this is a budget aimed at short-term electoral gain, and it is certainly the last before the election, which some speculate might come before Christmas. Sadly, this is how both sides have been framing budgets over many, many years. The structural issues like government debt and spending, which would make a real difference over the long term to people's household budgets, remain on the never-never.